Hello everybody and welcome to Should You Play Oxygen Not Included. Oxygen Not Included is a side-on 2D colony management sim. The game had its official early access launch in May of 2017, but was available through their website since February of 2017, so the game has been out in the wild, so to speak, for just about a year now, which is why I thought it was the perfect time to ask the question, should you play it? Oxygen Not Included is all about survival. You start the game with 3 duplicants waking up on a randomly generated asteroid floating through space. There's no real goal, you just want to build and manage an efficient colony, providing your duplicants with enough oxygen, water, warmth, safety, and food. Don't let the cartoonish aesthetic of the game fool you. Oxygen Not Included is a very deep game, with lots of systems all running in tandem. Let's take a look at the duplicants. A duplicant, or dupe, has a series of values that make them unique. They have randomized traits which they are born with, attributes which they can improve over time, and a condition that measures how they're doing currently. When a dupe is created, they usually have some positive and negative traits to balance them out, but every now and then you'll get one that's just positive. You want to grab those ones. For instance, you could get a dupe with an iron gut, meaning they'll never ever have diarrhea. Or you could get a loud sleeper, who has to be placed further away from the others to prevent waking them up. There's also dupes that fart a lot, which contributes more CO2 to the area. Some that are more prone to sickness, some that are strong, eat less, easily stressed, and on and on. There's tons of traits to make each dupe feel unique, and they can be named so you can easily recognize them. All dupes share the same attributes, which are basically like skills. Having a dupe do a task, such as running on a treadmill to generate electricity, will make that dupe more athletic over time, and then better at running on the treadmill. Dupes are born good at certain things, but ultimately they can all learn to be good at anything. To manage this, you can open up a job screen and select preferences for who does what. Have someone that is a great chef? Then make sure you tell the others not to cook anything. Then your master chef will do the job when it comes up. In case someone is otherwise busy, it's usually a good idea to have multiple people good at things, just so you're not overly reliant on one dupe for any one thing. But a big part of the game is managing that efficiency. As I said, anyone can do anything, but getting the right people for the job speeds up everything and makes everything more efficient. As well as the traits and attributes, each duplicant also has a current condition. This factors in their overall health, their stress, stamina, their breath, their hunger, bladder, temperature, immune system, and surroundings. So there's a lot of stuff that can affect how a dupe performs. So how do we keep them all happy and healthy? Starting off, you'll begin with just 3 dupes and a printing pod, which is capable of making more dupes. Dupes generate over time and you can decide when to print them. Having more dupes means more mouths to feed, more waste to figure out, and less oxygen for everyone, so you don't necessarily want to print dupes endlessly. But the goal is definitely to have as much as possible and reach a sort of self-sufficiency that allows you to then explore the asteroid. The terrain is randomly generated, but weighted in a way that you'll always start surrounded by some pretty valuable resources in the beginning, which are necessary for sustaining yourself. And as you consume and then move outward, it'll get increasingly difficult to come across those types of resources. But then you'll start to encounter more late game things that can be used if your colony has progressed enough. If not, you might find yourself in a bit of a tough situation and you might have to scale back the amount of duplicants you have. Dupes can dig through any material that they can reach, and when they do, it'll drop that type of material on the ground. There are different types of material around you and in the world: raw mineral, raw metal, organic material, and cultivatable soil, and each of these categories have different types within them. For instance, copper, gold, and iron are all raw metals with different properties. So, as you carve out some space for your dupes, you'll want to keep an eye on what types of gases are around you. Each tile in Oxygen Not Included, if it's not occupied by terrain, will have some sort of gas in it, and often a mix of gases, just like real life. You'll want to avoid CO2 heavy areas and look for oxygen rich areas until you get the technology needed to start producing your own oxygen. Gases also behave differently because of their density. CO2 and natural gas tend to sink below oxygen over time, and hydrogen and others will rise above oxygen. Later on, you'll develop filtration systems that can work to pump the gas out of rooms through vents. So having a vent near a ceiling means it'll suck out low density gases, or near the ground will suck out high density gases. So that's a lot to take in. For a quick recap, we got different types of dupes with different traits and skills. They spawn in a randomly generated area with different types of rock that can be harvested. Then we have different types of gases to watch out for. The last thing to cover now is one of the most complex, and that's the building aspect. To break this down as simply as possible, I'll explain it from a high-level perspective. There are 12 categories of objects in Oxygen Not Included that will allow you to create objects that will sustain life and create a comfortable environment for your dupes. The most simple things are pathways, ladders, and doors that allow you to create enclosed and controlled rooms. As I mentioned before, this will then allow you to control the gas that flows in and out of there, and a bunch of other benefits like creating controlled environments for the dupes. Next along the line is machines that will do things, such as oxygen producing machines, computers, and pumps. These will often require a resource and some form of power. So for an algae deoxidizer, it requires algae as an input and outputs oxygen, but it needs to be powered. So dupes will manually deposit algae into the machine when it needs it, and if you run out, it'll stop working, so you need to gather that resource. Next would be power. Powering things requires you to lay down wires connecting objects together from a power source to a consumer. Typically power is generated by having a dupe run on a treadmill for a while, and you can gather excess power in batteries so the dupe can take a break. Eventually, you can build machines to produce power, such as coal and natural gas generators, but these will use a lot of resources and create emissions that you'll need to convert or pump out of your habitable areas. Next, there's plumbing and ventilation. Laying down pipes and pumps and then powering them will create a system of transporting gases and liquids around your colony. An example of how this system works in play would be dupes using a bathroom. Dupes using a bathroom will produce polluted water that you have to then kind of collect somewhere in a basin. That can then be pumped out of the basin into a water sieve, which will produce clean water and use sand and power to do so. That clean water can then be pumped back into the toilets and wash basins for hygiene, and excess water, maybe if you want, can be pumped into an electrolyzer, which produces oxygen from the water when it's powered. You'll spend a lot of time working towards becoming self-sufficient, creating a recycling empire where energy, water, and oxygen is all renewable. This is achievable over a long time through careful management of resources and efficiency. The computers you have will allow you to research technologies that will grant you more objects to use, but they require time to research and space when you do get the new items. So that's a TLDR version of what you'll be doing in Oxygen Not Included. So how does the game play? In its current state, the game is extremely polished, with a very clear and concise UI that makes it very easy to understand what's going on with all the different systems, and that's no easy feat. There's 11 room overlays for you to check at a glance, your gases, pipes, electricity, or whatever you need. The notification system is very clear, and the objects menu and art style of the game just gives it a really defined look to it, and different gameplay systems such as priority tasks allow you to create a smart order of things that you want done. Each day you also get a little report summarizing what goes on in your colony, and it's just extremely clear and readable. The music is dark and quirky, as is the art style, but it can be a little bit sparse and repetitive early on. It's not really a negative for me, but the game is a bit aimless. You don't really have a goal or any significant mission or structure, and the game, it seems, has no end. It's by the same team that made Don't Starve, which is very similar in its approach. You're dropped into a weird world and you just have to survive as best as you can for as long as you can. There's all sorts of tutorials and guides on how to master systems and become self-sufficient, but I would urge you not to look that stuff up, as the fun of the game is doing stuff wrong and learning from it, and the unpredictability of the outcome of how things work. One of the systems I used for transporting liquids around I got wrong. I accidentally polluted my main water supply and caused sickness throughout my colony. I couldn't figure out why people were sick for ages until it was too late, and it was just a fun experience learning it and correcting it. So should you play Oxygen Not Included? Absolutely. It's an intelligent and deep colony management sim with a lot to offer. There's plenty of mechanics that I had no time to mention, as this is more of an introduction to the game rather than a full-on review. Exploring further into the asteroid, you'll discover mysterious ruins and wreckages that have unique items. There's germs to keep track of, hazard suits for venturing into unbreathable areas, alien creatures, farm management, storage management, vacuums, and automated machines that run the colony for you in the late game. As well as that, Clay update the game every month or so, and it's the only game that I can think of that show how long until the next update in the main menu. The game has no set date to come out of early access and will be updated well into 2018 according to Clay, but as it stands there's more than enough content to sink your teeth into right now. I'm really excited to see what they come up with next and where this game goes over the next few months. That's all for the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think of the game and if you'll be picking it up. Full-on reviews and smaller previews like this one are supported by an amazing dedicated group on Patreon. If you want to support this channel and help decide what games we cover, consider checking it out. Thank you very much again, and I'll see you in the next one.